Today, once again, we'll talk to our friends from the Adelaide University. We'll talk to them about travelling between their homes and the university. Later, we'll look at how long it takes them to make the journey. But now, listen for the different ways they answer the question, how do you get to uni?
How do you get to uni?
Usually bus, but sometimes by car.
How long does that take?
By bus about 30 minutes, by car about 25 minutes.
I take a bus. That takes about 30 minutes.
Usually I just walk, just 20 minutes walk, so it's no problem.
I usually bus into the city from home, or I either ride my bike and occasionally I drive in. On the bus, it doesn't take very long to come to uni. It usually takes about 20 minutes. Car, 10 minutes, and riding my bike, it takes about 25 minutes.
I catch the bus or ride my bike, approximately 15 to 20 minutes.
I catch the bus. Normally I drive to a bus interchange and then I catch the bus. It takes about 10 minutes. I travels on the O-Bahn and and I catch it home as well.
Sometimes I drive to uni and sometimes I take the bus. The journey takes about 30 minutes from my home to the university.
It looks like there's a few different ways to get to Adelaide University. Most of the students seem to take the bus at some time or another. Some of them ride a bike or drive a car or even walk if they live nearby. Let's look at the different ways they talk about taking the bus.
Usually bus, but sometimes by car.
I take a bus.
Sometimes I drive to uni and sometimes I take the bus.
I catch the bus or ride my bike.
I catch the bus.
I usually bus into the city from home, or I either ride my bike and occasionally I drive in.
Alex answers by saying, usually bus, but sometimes by car. So most days he just goes on a bus. Notice the different ways of saying this. Susan says, I take the bus. Justin and Melita both say, I catch the bus. You could also say, I go by bus, or more formally, I travel by bus. But Sarah says, I usually bus into the city. Here she's using the word bus as a verb. To bus means to go somewhere by bus. Most other forms of transport don't take this form. You have to say, I go by tram, I go by train, I go by car. But what about going by bicycle?
I catch the bus or ride my bike.
Justin says, I ride my bike. This is the most common way of saying you travel by bike. I ride my bike or I go by bike. But notice that we can turn bike into a verb too and say, I bike into the city. Notice that the students answer in the present tense. This is because they're talking about something that they regularly or usually do. Okay, now let's look at how long it takes them to get to uni.
That takes about 30 minutes.
On the bus, it doesn't take very long to come to uni. It usually takes about 20 minutes. Car, 10 minutes, and riding my bike, it takes about 25 minutes.
Approximately 15 to 20 minutes.
The journey takes about 30 minutes from my home to the university.
The longest anyone has to travel is about 30 minutes or half an hour. Now, of course, 60 minutes is an hour. For 30 minutes, we often say half an hour, and for 15 minutes, we'd say quarter of an hour. Other short periods of time are usually said in minutes. So you could say, it takes 30 minutes. It takes quarter of an hour. It takes 15 or 20 minutes. Notice how they use the adverbs normally and usually to talk about how often they do each thing, and about and approximately to mean the amount of time is not exact, only near or around.
That takes about 30 minutes.
On the bus, it doesn't take very long to come to uni. It usually takes about 20 minutes. Car, 10 minutes, and riding my bike, it takes about 25 minutes.
Approximately 15 to 20 minutes.
The journey takes about 30 minutes from my home to the university.
Normally I drive to a bus interchange and then I catch the bus. It takes about 10 minutes. I travels on the O-Bahn and and I catch it home as well.
Melita says she travels on the O-Bahn. The O-Bahn is a bus system in South Australia where a bus runs on tracks, a bit like a train. It's sort of halfway between a bus and a train. Well, that's all for today. If you've got a spare 20 minutes or half an hour, why don't you see how long it takes you to find out more about today's story on our website? You'll see all of today's words and phrases there. English Bites is brought to you by Australia Network, and there are many other English language learning resources available at our website.